Hello YouTube, nice to see you. It's a sunny day again. This one is not a how-to, it's not a vlog as such, it's not the usual videos. This is a complaint. What are they putting in the petrol? Now, you may think, well, petrol's petrol, it's should be no difference. Yes, no. What I'm basically saying is that for years I've been using the same brand paint for the same jobs, and effectively there should be no difference to this current new job. Basically, last year I spent some of my insurance money to repaint the bike and put it back to how it was originally, and that was a problem. Because when I came to first fill up my tank, I got a little bit of spillage and all the paint came off. I say all the paint came off, I had to take all the paint off to redo the job. Now, I shouldn't have been having to do this, using the same paint for years. I went back to the paint company and I said to them, what have you changed? What have you taken out? Because I knew that nitromors, they'd taken out a key ingredient which made nitromors do the job. On ordinary paint, it'll do. But on factory standard paint, it now no longer takes factory standard paint. I had a hell of a job getting the old paint off the tank and off the bike. I had to in the end go with caustic soda, which is nastier than the stuff they had in nitromors. But anyway, going back to, I contacted this paint company and they said, we have not changed our formula in 22 years. 22 years they had not changed their formula, so something else had to have changed. Was it my application? No, because I've been doing the same job, the same thing with the same product for years, well over a decade, so it had to be something else. And so I started looking at the petrol, because it was the petrol causing the reaction, and I found out something. But first I'll show you what I mean. I wonder if you can see this. Let's come up. This is my filler cap, and if we go down, sorry if it's shaky, it's probably too blurry. Let's come out a little bit. But if you can't see that, I'm hoping you can see that. Can you see the crackling effect? And it goes all the way down here, all the way, and to the other side of the tank. It even, I don't know, there used to be a plastic coating. Yeah, there used to be a plastic coating under here. That also came off. That actually reacted with the petrol. Petrol tank bag reacting with the petrol. Right, now I've got it in microscopic mode. You might be able to see it. Let's move. That's not going to help. But effectively, there's crackling all around the petrol tank. This is actually from the gas from the petrol as it seeps over it comes down the tank. A couple of times I've had spots. There's one there, and effectively it's taking the paint off, or it's causing problems with the paint, and hopefully that shows you. But anyway, yeah, so I went investigating, as effectively I went to see what they'll put in the petrol. Now, there's petrol as the main ingredient. There are a few little additives here and there. One of the main additives is in the lower grade petrol is the octane level. The octane has to be a certain level in the petrol for it to be usable, basically. And so I looked at the octane level, and there's this product, especially in the premium and Ultima, the premium grade petrols, the ones with a higher octane level. Do you know how they achieve that octane level? They use this chemical, and they put it in the petrol. This chemical is basically a paint stripper. So they're putting in paint stripper to have a higher octane level. So that's not good, especially as petrol strips paint. on your petrol tank, you really don't like that. And if you can't find a product that counters that, you're in problem. I cannot find a good matte black satin lacquer for a reasonable price. I can't find one. I've looked. You may say, what's a reasonable price? I just want something it doesn't take the paint doesn't take. But I'd rather that there wasn't paint stripper in the petrol, to be honest. But then again, so anyway, I also dug around some more, find out what else they're putting in the petrol. And of course, there's an EU directive. It's by a certain date. It's not far from the future. In the future, by a certain date, 20% of the petrol going in your tank has to be from a biofuel resource. Bioethanol, basically, and it has to be from basically an ecological. Well, I'll go into that in a second. But basically, 20% of the fuel in your tank has to be bioethanol. Now, first problem there is my bike's rated at running at 10% bioethanol. In other words, any more than that, it causes running problems. I've been having running problems, as you probably tell from one of the previous videos of me playing with a carburetor. So yes. And so I'm now asking garages, what's your percentage of biofuel in the petrol? And they've gone, we don't know. So what I'm saying is, you're selling a product and don't know the ingredients of that product. Find out for me. So I'm now trying to find a petrol station that only does less than 10% biofuel. Bioethanol and other biological fuels that's put in petrol are effectively paint strippers. So they're putting two types of paint stripper in your petrol, which I find really annoying. So yeah, what are they putting in the petrol? Biofuel and paint stripper, which is why I've been having problems. And so I'm trying to keep my bike in a good condition for as long as possible for ecological reasons, because the longer it lasts, the less resources that go into making a new one, blah 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 blah. But this is my kicker. I don't think biofuel is very bio-friendly. Still pumping CO2 into the atmosphere from, you say, an ecological resource, but effectively they're using up land that could be used up for food. When America went to something like a certain percentage, a high percentage of their grain products to go to biofuel instead, so they didn't want to rely on oil, the bread prices went up. The bread and grain prices really jumped. So that's why your life with bread costs more. That's why your sack of grain costs more. It's because America decided to switch to biofuel. But they're not actually products that take CO2 out of the atmosphere only work if they're able to lock it away. And I mean lock it away is it's buried underground and it's stayed there. If it's used to burn, it's not exactly carbon neutral. In fact, it produces slightly more carbon than you'd be thinking about. But I think there's not enough room on the planet to grow food and grow fuel. Find an alternative source. Electricity is better. Plenty of sunlight. Biofuel is a false economy, and I think it's a false economy. And I don't like it. I don't want it. I like petrol engines, but of course, let's go with actually having less crap coming out your exhaust than the fuel going in first. Sort it out that way. Anyway, that's my little rant. Goodbye, YouTube.